Did you know that 80% of people have had a book idea, and yet only 1% of those 80% of people who have had a book idea ever actually get their book published? Well, today I'm going to walk you through the process. Hi, my name is Laura Wing, and I am a 10-time author, and I am going to show you how you can go from having a book idea to joining the 1% of people who actually get that book to publication. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about self-publishing and why I believe self-publishing is absolutely the way to go in our modern society. Years ago, it used to be that in order to get a book published, you had to send your manuscript off and wait and wait and wait to hear back from a publishing company who was probably more than likely going to reject your manuscript. In fact, the average person sent their manuscript off to over 22 different publishing companies in hopes that somebody would like their work and actually publish them. But we don't live way back then. We live in this day and age where anybody can publish a book. And I believe that self-publishing is absolutely the way to go. We have so much technology out there that can help you with editing, formatting, even the writing, and Kindle, KDP, for Amazon makes it so easy to get your book published that there really is no excuse anymore for people not to become published authors. So if you have had a book idea of any kind, I promise you, you can get your book published and you can get it up on Amazon. Have you ever been perusing through Amazon and you've seen all of these books and you think to yourself, how did they get their books on Amazon? Well, we're going to go through the entire process today. I'm going to walk you step by step and show you the proven methods that will take you from book idea to published author. Before I take you through all of these different processes, though, I do want to do a little bit more of a deep dive into why I believe that self-publishing is a way to go. So first off, when you try to get your book published with a high profile traditional publishing company, that most people think of when they think about publishing a book, there are a lot of necessary steps involved with that. First off, you probably have to have some type of literary agent, somebody who is going to take a cut of whatever you might make on that book. Then the publishing company is going to take the majority of the royalties for that book. So they are going to own and control your creative process and the majority of the funds that you could have been putting into your own pocket. So I believe strongly in self-publishing for mostly that reason. You have control over where your book gets sold, you have control over the creative process, and you get to control how much you earn from that book. So I believe that self-publishing is for everybody, and that's a hill that I'm willing to die on. I'm a strong believer and supporter of self-publishing, and I want you to be able to have complete and total control over your first or second or third or 10th book, whatever it might be for you. All right. So let's talk about the first step. And of course, that first step is going to be the writing of the book. That's what we have to do first. So let's talk about that. All right, so the first thing that you are going to want to do is start brainstorming some ideas of what you want your book to be about. We all get tempted as authors, I know I do myself too. We come up with an idea and we think that's the idea that everybody is going to want to read. Now, depending on what you are writing for, I write because I have topics that I enjoy writing about, and I don't necessarily always do market research to make sure that that's what my audience wants to read. But if you are looking to earn money with your books and you don't necessarily care whether it falls under any particular idea, then what I would say you need to do is some research. Go find out, and it's very easy to do that. You can go to any of your AI research tools and just ask what types of books are people most likely to search for. I will tell you that right now, one of the number one topics happens to be romance. Now, I'm not a romance writer, I'm not a romance reader, but if you're willing to write a romance story, you already know that, hey, my book is going to fall into a niche where people are already wanting to buy books that are about romance. So that's something you could do, is you could go research those topics and find out what niche your book needs to fall in. The other thing that you might want to do is start to peruse books in the category of book idea that you already have. So let's say you're interested in writing a Western novel. I would go and look at books that are in the Western genre. So get onto Amazon, especially since that's where we're going to take this to, is Amazon. Get on there and start searching Western novels and get some ideas of what your book could be about. Now, you're not going to plagiarize anybody else's ideas, and you're certainly not going to try to recreate somebody else's story. You want your story to be original. Original stories do sell. So that's important, but you're getting an idea of how are Western novels formatted. You know, there's a cadence and a rhythm to them. The covers tend to look the same. The titles tend to look the same, and you'll want to go get an idea there. All right, next, you're going to actually start the writing process. All right. Now that you are going to sit down and start writing, rather than staring at a blank page and not knowing where to go, I have some tips and tricks that will help you with the hard part of the process. And the hard part, of course, is getting it from here out onto paper. First and foremost, make sure that you are writing your manuscript in the proper word processing. Use the proper word processing tool. And my recommendation to you would be to use something like Google Docs. And the reason that I prefer Google Docs is because I can go and take that. First off, it's free and I don't have to pay for it. And I can take that, and when I'm done, I can download it into a PDF form or some other form that's going to be compatible with Amazon KDP when we're ready to upload it. So that's the first step. Now you're staring at your blank page, and what you're going to do is start writing. And there are some writing tips and tricks and things that we could spend a whole nother video on. And I don't want to get too into that detail because you are really here to find out how to go from idea to getting your book up onto Amazon KDP. But first and foremost, I would recommend getting an outline of your book. And there are no excuses in this day and age to not be able to write an outline. It is as simple as going to, you could go to Gemini, you could go to ChatGPT. There are so many avenues of AI that I'm not telling you that AI is going to write your book. I do not expect AI to write your book. You are going to write your book. But what AI can do for you is give you an outline, a detailed outline. So you go to AI and you say, this is my book idea. I have an idea for a sci-fi or Western novel, whatever it is, whatever your genre is, or maybe it's not even a fictional book. Maybe it's a nonfiction book. This is my idea. I would like for these topics or these characters to be introduced in my book. Please give me an outline of this story. And then in a matter of minutes, it's going to spit this outline out for you. What I have done is actually printed up those outlines in the past. Then I ask it to break it down by chapters, chapter outlines. So then I can sit there and cross off. And so maybe they titled my first chapter, The Wild, Wild West, and how maybe my book is about how some guy rode on a horse through the Wild West. I don't know. I don't write Westerns. But if that's the case, then chapter 1 might be just introducing my character that's riding through the Wild West. Now I have a direction that I'm going, and I can sit down and start typing that out, and then I check mark that off of my outline. I do not have to stick 100% to that outline because the writing process is creative and things sometimes change and unfold, but it gives me a roadmap to writing. The next thing is to set a writing schedule. a writing schedule that works for you. If you're the kind of person who likes to write in small snippets, say 20 minutes at a time, and then leave it alone, then by all means do that, but be consistent. Daily habits done repeatedly will lead to a finished manuscript. What doesn't work is if you set that manuscript aside, and studies have shown that the longer you leave that manuscript sitting without working on it somehow, the odds decrease that you will ever get that book finished. Anybody who has sat on a manuscript for a year or more has a less than 1% chance of actually getting their book to publication. So set some daily habits and get the manuscript written. All right, next. You have your manuscript written, and what you are going to do now is edit it. Simple ways that you can go about editing. I always like to get 2 or 3 sets of eyeballs on my manuscript, so I like to have people look it over for me and read it, just so that they can maybe give me some constructive feedback on that. And that's, again, a whole nother, we can get into a whole giant video on just editing. But for simplicity's sake, what I want to tell you is there are plenty of tools out there. You can actually take chunks of your writing, drop it into something like ChatGPT and say, please proofread this for me, and ask it not to make any changes. And you don't want it to make any changes because sometimes it gets those changes wrong, but it can proofread it for you and it can tell you where you might have mistakes. The other thing you can do is drop it into a tool like Grammarly. Certainly, editing is a part of the process that I would not skip. And don't panic. Don't panic if you upload your book and there are a couple of mistakes here and there. Of course, you don't want a ton of mistakes and you don't want a whole bunch of gross mistakes all over the place because it will distract the reader from enjoying your book. But I want to tell you that even the giant publishing companies do leave a margin for error. All right, now that you have your book edited, the last thing you are going to do before uploading your book to Amazon KDP is you are going to format it. Formatting used to be such a nightmare for me. How do you go from your manuscript looking like just a page full of words to an actual book? Again, I'm going to turn you to AI because well, it can be free and it can be cheap. And you can simply, that's a word, you can simply ask something like Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever your favorite one is, and you can send it your document and say, please format this to be a 6x9 book or whatever size book you want it to be. You'll have to give it some specifics about your book, tell it what font size you want, all of that. It's going to ask you, and if you needed to, tell it, ask me questions so I can get this prompt right. And then you put it in there and it will spit out a formatted, let it know that you want to upload it to Amazon KDP, and it will give you a formatted version. Now, I caution you because sometimes AI gets it wrong. My favorite tool of all of the tools out there for formatting happens to be a tool called Atticus. And Atticus is not free. I like to teach people how to do things for free when possible, but I use Atticus because it has templates already built in, and I can drop my manuscript in, I can edit, I can format and save my book. I can also upload it for EPUB, which is electronic publication. So I can have my book uploaded to Amazon for Kindle reading, or I can do paperback or hardback, whatever. It will format for all of those different things for me, and it's super easy to use. So Atticus, I'll leave the link to Atticus in the description. That's a wonderful program. I think it's around $149 for that. It's a one-time purchase. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to Amazon KDP. I want to show you what we're talking about, and you'll know how to go about getting your book up there when I show you this. All right, let's go there. This is Amazon KDP, and what you're going to do is just simply type in kdp.amazon.com. Amazon uses Kindle Direct Publishing to help people get their books directly uploaded to Amazon. Once your book is on Amazon, you've gone through the uploading process of your book, then you get royalties basically for your book. You never have to spend a dime getting the books printed or published. When somebody goes and buys your book, Amazon will then, or KDP will then automatically print the book and send it out to the person that purchased it for you. And then you will get a royalty check for that based on, pardon me, based on what you set your prices to. Okay, so I'm going to just show you real quick a couple of my books that are in here. And let's say that we're just going to pretend that we're putting a book in here. It's a random nonsensical open resume. All right, I'm using this just as an example. So what I did is I went to create new title or series. I went here, and now I want to continue to set this up. I want to edit this. So we're going to tell the book what language we want it to be in. We're going to tell KDP what the book title is. We're going to tell it whether it's part of a series. It's not. It's the very first one out there. It's not part of a series. I don't need to put an edition number in there if I don't want to right now. Obviously, it's a first edition. If it was a second edition, like I made some changes to the book and I re-uploaded it, it would be another edition. Has a place for the author's name, anybody who contributed, so somebody like your editor or co-author, and then a description of the book. And you want to be very clear and concise with your description because you want to make sure that you're using keywords in there so that it sells. You're going to own the publishing rights to that. You're going to answer this question here. Is there any sexually explicit material? Then your primary market, there's a drop-down menu here. Based on where you live will be where your primary market is. Mine is just Amazon.com. Then you're going to choose genres for your book, and genres are very important. That's something that I actually cover a lot of in my course that I teach on publishing books. Then you're going to put some keywords in, and you can decide whether you want to publish it right away or save it for another date. You can have a release date if you want to. All right, after that, you'll save this, you'll continue, and there's going to be a place for you to actually upload your manuscript. This is where the formatting is so important. Oh, also, you can get a free ISBN number. You've ever seen those little barcodes on the back of your book? That's the ISBN number that every book has to have. Or you can bring your own ISBN number. I would caution you, I would bring your own ISBN number when you can. Those are easy to get. Just do a Google search and you can go purchase one. Then you're going to tell it what trim size you want. How big do you want your book? What kind of paper, etc., etc. Now, I don't have an actual manuscript for this book because this was just for tutorial purposes, but I would click this button that says upload manuscript. Then I would go find my manuscript that I have saved from, let's go ahead and cancel that I have saved from my Google Docs. And then we're going to give it a cover. When we're done with all of that, we're going to preview our book. We're going to save it, and we're going to give KDP permission to, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and stop this. We're going to give KDP permission to publish the book. I did not touch on cover creation because that is a whole nother video. That's a whole nother realm that I could take you into, although it is covered in my course that I have, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below. So, all right, we've covered writing your book. We've talked about editing, formatting, how to get it up on KDP, and that's really it. That is your entire blueprint. That is how everybody who has gotten a book on Amazon has done it. There's no hidden trick. There's nothing that you can't know, just like everybody else is knowing. If you want some more details on how you can do that, step by step, including how to market your book, a writing calendar and schedule that works for you, an individualized schedule. You'll learn how to make that. If you want to know more about the editing process and the details of that, how to pick a genre for your book, how to do a cover creation, anything you could possibly want to know is in my course, and I'm going to leave a link to that in the description of this video. Go check it out. Oh, I'm so glad that you were here today. I can't wait until you get your book published. God bless. Have a wonderful day.